Hey guys, welcome to Off the Cuff. This is where we ask questions that you have to our pastors and leaders, and they have no idea what's coming. And this is one I know you've been looking forward to. I have. It's Parenting Questions with Dr. Ellen Moore. Background, she is our children's pastor here at the Ark Church, overseeing birth through 5th grade. She also has a degree in early childhood development, or just elementary.
Elementary ed was my undergrad, and then educational leadership.
Yes. A doctorate. So she's actually a doctor, and she does prescribe us medicine in the office sometimes. But a lot of great wisdom and advice. She's really helped me personally with my parenting, and so I know that you guys will jump in. We're going to talk about, right now, really kind of 0 to preschool, which we consider that like 4 or 5 years old, or the early years, and kind of dive into early years of how to parent, or what does parenting look like. Okay. So I'll open up. I'm a new parent. I'm not a new parent, but, and half of these questions are mine.
We're a new parent.
Yes, I was. Half these questions are mine, and half of them aren't. You'll never know which ones. I'm a brand new parent. I have a baby. What do I need to do to help my child in these early years live a life for the Lord? Like, what is that? I know it's really broad, but like, what is the primary thing you would say for a parent?
I would say in the early years is all about creating an environment where kids are safe and loved.
Yeah.
That is key to their physical development, emotional development, mental development, and their spiritual development.
Yeah.
Because really, as parents, we're the first picture of God that our kids get.
Yeah.
And it's important that we're giving them a correct picture. And no, we're not going to be perfect like God is. But to give them the sense that there is a God in the universe who knows that you're here, who loves you, who cares for you, who provides for you. That's what we're doing as parents with our infants. And that is doing something in their heart. It's creating a foundation and planting some seeds in their hearts and in their minds that can grow and develop as they come to, be able to process that in other ways. But really, it's loving and caring, providing a safe and loving environment for them.
I know, I was in children's ministry and still am. 0 to 3 is like the most vital. Like, I know you hear that, and that kind of freaked me out when I was a parent. What are some ways for me to help introduce God to my kids? Let's say 2, 3, or that age when they start to, I'm not baby anymore, but I'm in that stage. What are some of my first steps to introduce God in a way?
Well, you're right. Birth to age 3, during those 3 years, 80% of the brain is developed during those first 3 years. By age 5, 90% of the brain is developed. And so these are, you can't overstate the importance of these years. Yeah. And so just like we were saying, the safety, the love. But then I think with our kids, whether it's introducing concepts of God or even concepts of kindness and love and joy and gentleness, the best way to do it is by living your life in front of them, because more is caught than taught. Yeah. And so they are going to pick up on what life with God looks like through you as the parent. Yeah. And hopefully it will be done not perfectly, but in a way that attracts them to what that life is and where they want that kind of life. Yeah. I'm reading a great book right now about the preschool years called Preschool Clues. And they talk about how kids in the story that the kids are living in these early years, parents are the hero. of their story.
Oh, wow.
And they are looking to the parents as the hero.
Yeah.
And eventually we want them to transfer that and let God be the hero.
Yes.
But in the early years, that's our job. And so it's giving them a picture of what God is like, how he loves us, how he cares for us, how he forgives us, how he helps us, how he guides us.
Yeah.
And so to let them hear that from you, and then also just, for them to hear you say things like, look what God provided for us, or God helped me, or look what God did for us. Even, the simple things like thanking Jesus for this food, because pointing out that he is the provider and he cares for us. And so I think all of those things play in.
That's actually interesting because Pastor Alan was talking about how gratefulness and how he says if he could go back and do parenting again, that he wishes he was more grateful in front of us as a family for God and who he was and glorifying him more. And that's exactly to your point. It's like when you're doing that, you're glorifying the Lord, you're pointing back to him, there's a humility in it, and you're teaching them like that God's the provider, that God is a carer, he's a lover, he's that.
Yeah.
And those are the values really you want your kids to have.
Totally.
More than they don't really need to learn about the hard, you have some parents I gotta teach my kids the Bible. They need to be able to memorize scripture 5 years old, but that's really not the...
They don't have to know the books of the Bible by age 5. But if they know that God is good, that he loves them and has a good plan for their life, and they're drawn to you and saying, I want that kind of life.
Yeah.
And once they realize it's God that's the key to that kind of life, that's a win.
So let's say I've messed up, which I have.
We all have.
And I feel like I haven't done a good job of portraying God to my kids. How do I get better? How do I make an adjustment without freaking out?
Start today.
Yeah. Just
start today.
Yeah.
And just say, you know what? You know what I'm grateful for today? Or you know what I love about God? And start a conversation.
Yeah.
And make a point to, connect with God personally. And the thing about parenting is it's a big job. It's not an easy job.
No.
We're not going to do it perfectly, but it's a job that's actually given to us by God.
Yeah.
And whenever he asks us to do something, he always says that he will do it with us. He doesn't give us this huge job and then leave us hanging.
Right.
But so
he equips us for what he calls us to.
Exactly, just like it says in Philippians. So if you've got kids, you are called by God to be a parent, and he will equip you. So ask him for help, and he will absolutely bring things to your mind at just the right time.
Yeah.
And the thing is, though, when those thoughts come, we have to act on them.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, maybe I should teach them to be grateful. Maybe we should start praying at bedtime.
Yeah.
Just start. And do something. Just have one conversation.
Yeah.
And I always found that bedtime and bath time seemed to be times that these little windows were open in their hearts. They're kind of, it's kind of worry-free time. Sometimes bedtime can be a little very scary.
I'm a little worried. I don't know what bedtime looked like for you. Wow.
But those are good times to just have a conversation.
Yeah, that's great. All right, I'm going to switch gears a little bit. Something that you told me when I was a brand new parent that really helped me out massively and really lodged itself in was you can't make kids the center of your world. And that was revolutionary for me. I had never heard that before. And it's something that I tell parents, like brand new parents, whenever I get a chance, very rarely they ask me for advice. When they do, I say, I heard this from Ellen, and I said, we took it to heart. Can you unpack that?
Kids are such a gift, and being a parent is an honor and it's a huge responsibility. But it is not the sum total of our existence. And when we really play things forward and think about, when they're born, it is like they're the center of our universe.
Right.
For many of us, they're an answer to prayer.
Yeah.
We've asked for this child we've dreamed about.
You feel
Maybe as
loved,
a mom,
yeah.
you've dreamed about being a mom your whole life. And it's finally happened, and it is a precious gift. But, and so it's easy to fall in and say, let everything revolve around this child.
Yeah.
But when you play that forward, we all know that the world does not revolve around me.
Right.
It doesn't revolve around you,
No.
right?
And the people who have those mindsets,
they don't do well, typically.
and it can be hard to.
In relationships
Yeah.
or jobs
Yeah.
or whatever. And so it really is setting them up with a correct view of themselves, that they are a very valuable part of this world, of your family, of God's kingdom, but they are just that, a part.
Not the same.
They are not the whole thing. And any time that we put anything other than God as the center and try to build our life around that, not only is it not good for us, it's not healthy for them.
Yeah.
Because that's not how God designed it. And so we are here on this earth to love and to serve, not to be served.
Yeah.
And so our kids need to learn that even from early ages. And obviously we serve them.
Right.
We teach them, we feed them and clothe them and but gradually they learn to do that for themselves.
Yep.
And we let them do that for themselves. And there are times that they, can't have my full attention because my husband needs my full attention.
Yeah.
And really, if you're going to put priority after God, of course, making the marriage the priority provides so much security for the kids that is actually more beneficial than giving them all of your attention by saying, hey, our home, our family is secure.
Yeah.
And they see that by mom and dad having conversations without the kids or mom and dad going on a date.
Yeah.
And I will say for single parents that is also important and that
They have a life too that's
Exactly.
outside of the kids.
that the kids can't be the center of their universe. And even if mom or dad don't both live in the house, to say, hey, mom has some time by herself, or mom has some time with friends, or dad needs some time, and that doesn't include the kids right then, is actually very healthy.
Yeah, and something you told me too is like, if you have an event going on that you and your wife want to go to, and it's their nap time, skip the nap time. And kind of as a way of early kind of letting the kids know, like, you're a part of this family. You're not the family.
Right.
And I just love that practical advice. It really helped us understand, like, roles, because it's so easy to make kids the center of your life.
It really
and you do
is.
have such a love for them.
Yeah.
And the world's constantly telling you that they're the center of the world, and it's easy to kind of fall into that. But that advice really helped me out so
And
much.
they can demand it.
Yes,
And
they
if
will
we-
take it.
Yeah. If we,
They're like,
if we
I'll
give
take it.
it,
Yeah.
it will, they'll take it.
All right, so one last question before we go. When do I start disciplining my child? So I know 18 months. And I know discipline looks different at every age level.
Yeah.
But like I see, let's say I have a child who's acting out. You start to see that personality come out. 18 months, 2 years. What and how is the best way to discipline around that age time?
Well, from my experience, we have 2 kids, both grown, so that means they survived. So that's a win.
Yep.
I would say it happens before 18 months. That discipline starts early because kids learn. Kids are smart. Like we said, that 80% of their brain is developed by age 3.
They're processing so much information.
Right. I mean, they're learning everything about communication, about survival, about, how to eat, and, then you've got the crawling and the walking and all talking. But sorry, I just lost my train of thought.
Nice.
With
Discipline.
thank you. As soon as you see the light bulb come on and that child is communicating to you and learning how to communicate, it's important for us to teach them the right way to communicate. A good example, our daughter, when she was probably 10 to 12 months, when she was done eating, she would throw the food off of the high chair tray and start screaming. And so the first few times we're like, picking it up, saying no, putting her back in.
Right.
And then it happens again. And then it's like, oh, she's telling us she's done.
Yes.
And so you have to teach them the right way to communicate that.
Yes.
So sometimes you could call it discipline, you could call it redirection, you could call it teaching.
Right.
That's what we're doing, is we're teaching proper responses.
Yeah.
And when it's the wrong response or an inappropriate response, we teach the right way.
Yeah.
And then as they get, obviously, consequences are going to be different for a 12-month-old and a 3-year-old.
Yeah.
But kids are all very unique. And we had 2 kids, like I said. Our oldest, he responded to verbal redirection really well.
Yeah.
And we did spank.
Yeah.
And if he got a spanking for something, he literally never did it again. So we thought we were awesome parents. Well, then our daughter came, and we gave the verbal direction, we redirected, we spanked, and nothing was working. So for her, we learned that she liked being in on whatever was going on with the family. And so we learned if we isolated her and she had to go to her room and she didn't get to be a part of the dinner time or the family game that evening or even watching a movie together, whatever, that spoke to her. And so, it's going to look different at different stages and it's going to look different for each child even.
That's great. I have one that if I just say I'm gonna spank her, she's freaking out and crying and like.
And we'll immediately stop and never do it again.
Yeah, I have another one that I spank and she just looks at me like, "Is that all you got?"
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Okay." So and you have to parent different for every kid. I think that's something that most parents had to learn.
Yeah.
Well, we have a lot more we could go here. We'll probably have another one of these early childhood talks, but we're gonna jump into another one real quick. Check this out on YouTube, on Facebook. Like and subscribe. Off the cuff, that was awesome. Thank you, Dr. Ellen. That was awesome stuff. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Send in your questions. We'll ask them next time. I'll see you guys next week.